Hello, and welcome to this tutorial. Today, I'll guide you through the process of creating a dome and adding a mirrored object on it. In this tutorial, I'll be using GIMP to create the dome, but feel free to use Photoshop or any other program you're comfortable with. It's all about user preference. Make sure that black is set to default color. Go to File in the top right corner and click on New. When black is set as the default color, the new project will automatically have a white background in GIMP. Set the force and hardness to halfway on the slider, and adjust the spacing to about a quarter of the slider. Adjust the brush size so that it's large enough to cover a significant portion of the canvas you're working on. Adjust the circle size as needed and play around with it until you're satisfied with the result. Once you've set the brush size to your preference, navigate to the canvas. You can place the circle anywhere you'd like, however, I prefer positioning it on the lower part of the canvas. This way, the brush naturally forms a dome shape, reducing the amount of masking needed later. Click multiple times until the brush forms a sphere that resembles a dome. Once your dome looks like a 3D object, you can stop adding the black color by ceasing to click. The next step is to adjust the brush size so we can start with the masking process. Make sure the brush is appropriate for the areas you want to mask, ensuring a clean and precise result. At the bottom right corner, click on the Add Mask icon. Click on White Full Opacity. Start with the dome shape and carefully mask around the entire dome, ensuring the edges are clean and smooth. Remember to adjust the slider settings for hardness and force to the maximum, and set the spacing to none for a smooth, even mask. I prefer holding down Shift and doing short masking sections for better control and precision. Continue masking until the entire dome is neatly masked all around. Take your time with this. The more effort you put in, the smoother and more refined the mask will be. Once all the masking is done and only the dome remains, we'll need to export it as a PNG. After that, remove the current project in GIMP and start fresh with the newly created PNG, which will open in GIMP. Now that you've opened the new PNG file, we'll enhance the 3D effect of the dome by adding light reflection to the top part of the dome. First, we need to change the color. I like using a blue-gray shade to represent the shadow light from the overlaying light. I'll adjust the brush size to a much smaller setting and add some spacing. Then, I'll lower both the force and hardness to a very low setting. You can experiment with these settings to find what works best for you. I'll use the curve of the dome to draw curved lines. These lines should be slightly misty to create the illusion of light spreading across the surface. By drawing two lines on each side of the dome, one on the left and one on the right, we'll create the effect of two sets of overhead lights above the dome. Now, we'll reduce the spacing again and select white for the brush. The white color will help create the illusion of actual light shining above the dome. Next, draw a thin, solid white line in the center of the misty lines we just created. This will act as the focal point of the light, adding depth and intensity. Repeat this process for all the other misty lines. Remember, you can always create your own light forms. They don't have to be straight, they can be square, round, or any shape you feel works best for your design. Now, save the PNG file. You can overwrite the current file if you'd like. We'll be using this PNG file in CreateStudio from here on. Now that we're in CreateStudio, go to Media, click on Add New Folder, and then import your dome PNG file. Place the dome image onto your timeline. Adjust the size of the dome to your preferred dimensions. I found that the best placement for the dome is center middle. Also, remember that less is more when working with dome images and reflections, it's all about subtlety. I have saved scenes from my previous ring creation tutorial. I'll be using the ring and ball from that, and I'll drop them onto my timeline. When working with images for your dome, the best approach is to group the images together. This makes it easier to adjust them as a whole. When images aren't grouped, you might lose the positioning of objects. So for now, let's group the ungrouped parts on our timeline to keep everything aligned. We'll also make a duplicate of this grouped image to use as a mirror image on the dome. The best way to keep track of which image you're working on is to lock the original image and then begin adjusting the unlocked duplicate. Now that you have two different sized images, unlock the original image and move it out of the scene. This will make it easier to adjust the size of the mirror image inside the dome. Adjust the dome image to be perfectly centered inside the dome. Also, level the height so that it matches the height of the image outside the dome, maintaining proper proportions. This main image needs to be adjusted so that the reflection in the dome matches its height, position, and scale. It should look natural to the eye, maintaining a realistic appearance. If it doesn't look right, it most likely isn't. Keep adjusting until the illusion looks perfect and the view appears natural. Now, let's add some detail. Go to your shapes and select a square shape to use as part of the floor. We'll use this to create a floor reflection inside the dome. Then, add the image to the main scene to complete the dome mirror illusion. Now, add the new object to the timeline. Move the main image out of the scene again to make working on the new objects easier. Adjust the new image to fit the main scene, then adjust the second image to fit inside the dome. Scale its size and thickness to maintain proper proportion with the main scene. After adjusting the main scene, focus on the mirror image inside the dome. Adjust the size, height, and thickness to match the main view as a reflection. Play around with the adjustments until it looks correct. Adjust the main image of the floor again if needed, until both the mirror image inside the dome and the main view outside the dome look correct and create the desired illusion. Now, move the image that was previously moved out of the scene back to its original position. Everything should be perfect now, and you should have a dome with a mirror image of your main image. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a dome with a mirror effect. Thanks for watching.